Good morning, everyone. Welcome to English 10 today. For our warm-up, I want you to start by thinking of a favorite character, and I know just a favorite character. If you're like anything at all like me, you're gonna have trouble choosing like your ultimate favorite character. But think of one character that you like from a book, a movie, a show, a manga, etc. Anything fictional. And then I want you to think about why you like that character so much. And think a little deeper beyond like, well, that character's really cool. Awesome. Tell me why that character is cool. What is it about that character that makes you care about them, that makes you want to see them succeed? So think about that for a second, and then we will talk about it. Of course, here I would be waiting for my students to think of their characters, and then we will discuss their favorite characters and why they love them. Here's an example of my favorite character, one of my favorite characters. Again, I have a lot. But one of my favorite fictional characters is Sherlock Holmes. And this isn't unique. There are a lot of people who really, really love Sherlock Holmes. And when we think of Sherlock Holmes, he's extremely logical. He's known for his crime-solving abilities. He goes into a room and he sees things that other people don't see, and he's able to put facts together and determine what happened. Of course, in the case of a crime, usually he's figuring out, who did this crime, who committed this crime, and why. Um, but because he's extremely logical, he's all brain and no heart. We think of him as being like, really stiff and, just not really caring about other people because he's just thinking. He's just like a thinking machine. But if you've ever read the books or seen any of the many shows or movies or like stage adaptations of Sherlock Holmes, you know this isn't totally true. We see him as being all brain and no heart, but he also plays the violin. And when he plays the violin or when he engages in a musical performance of some kind, if he's watching a performance, then we see emotion. He's, passionate about music. The books describe his eyes lighting up as he's, playing or writing violin music or watching music and listening to it and engaging with it. That's what shows us that Sherlock Holmes has a soul, that he's not just this thinking machine, that he actually has a heart and a soul and is a human that we can care about. So of course he's famous for his crime-solving abilities, but I would argue that it's not his crime-solving, incredibleness alone that makes him such a famous character who's still so beloved by so many. It's his complex personality which makes him seem like a real person and that still captivates readers and watchers today. We all love Sherlock Holmes because we love who he is as a human being. He's super complex, he's super interesting, he's fascinating. And that leads us into today's standard. So today's standard is English Language Arts Reading and Literature 10.3. Analyze how complex characters, which are those with multiple or conflicting motivations, develop over the course of a text, interact with other characters, and advance the plot or develop the theme. And don't worry, don't stress about this standard here. We're going to be working with this for this whole week. So today, what we're specifically going to be talking about is how authors use direct and indirect characterization to make their characters seem like real people. So this word right here, complex characters. Complex characters are those with so multiple or conflicting motivations. They're characters that aren't all they, look like, that are more than what they look like at the outset. Sherlock Holmes, the thinking machine, who just is passionate about music and the beauty of music. He's a complex character, and it's his complexity that makes him seem like a real person. And today we're going to be talking about the types of characterization, specifically direct and indirect, that authors use to make their characters seem like real people, and of course, to make readers care about their characters. We've read four stories these past couple of weeks. We've read The Day I Got Lost, Everything That Rises Must Converge, Vet, and Hamadi. And today you're going to be choosing one character from one of these stories on which to write your character analysis. Now, the character analysis is not due till Friday. We're not even going to start it today, but I want you to start thinking about, a character you might like or a character you find interesting in a story like Everything That Rises Must Converge, for example. You probably don't really like anybody or any main character anyway. Um, but there are, two very, very interesting characters in that story. Think about which character you might want to choose for your character analysis. That's not due till Friday. That's our summative assessment that we're working towards. So don't worry about that yet. Just have that in the back of your mind that it's coming up. So for today, what is characterization? Characterization is the artistic representation, as in fiction or drama, of human character or motives. So it's just fictional people. It's how authors make their characters seem like real people. It's how they, give soul to their fictional characters. And specifically, authors do this in two separate ways. There's direct characterization and indirect characterization. So, direct characterization is when the author directly states a character's personality. So the author, just in writing, just tells the reader what the character's like. They don't hint at it. They don't show something happening to make us wonder what this character's like. They just tell us. So here's an example from A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. He's discussing the character Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge. And he says, "Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand to the grindstone Scrooge, squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner." And only Dickens writes like that with like a million adjectives, right? But he's telling us what Scrooge is like. He's telling us very directly. So, Scrooge is extremely possessive of his wealth and any money at all. He doesn't share, he doesn't give, he doesn't think about anybody else. He doesn't even tend to his own needs properly. He doesn't, heat his house very well, for example. He keeps it cold because he wants to hold on to as much money as possible. So that's why he's so tight-fisted that you picture him holding on to his money. He's not gonna let it go. And then all these adjectives, make us think of just like taking every last drop out of the life that he has and just squeezing all the life out of himself to hold on to his wealth. So squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous, which means like you want what other people have. Old sinner. That's who Scrooge is. That's who Ebenezer Scrooge is. Dickens tells us directly what he's like. Now, we have indirect characterization in the second example. Indirect characterization is when the author reveals a character's traits through that character's speech, actions, appearance, etc. So instead of just telling the reader what the character is like, with indirect characterization, an author is going to show us what that character is like. So this is a quote from the Odyssey by Homer, and the speaker in this is Odysseus, the main character, and he has just blinded a Cyclops, and the Cyclops doesn't know who he is. And because he's blinded the Cyclops, of course, the Cyclops would want to kill him, but the Cyclops can't do anything about it right now, and has no idea who he is, and can't even see him, so he has no idea who Odysseus is. And so, of course, all Odysseus' men are like, "Okay, come on, Odysseus, let's get out of here, and don't tell him, who we are, because he won't be able to hurt us if he doesn't know who we are." But let's see what Odysseus does. He says, "So they are all his crewmates, so they begged that they could not bring my fighting spirit round. I called back with another burst of anger. Cyclops, if any man on the face of the earth should ask you who blinded you, shamed you so, say Odysseus, raider of cities, he gouged out your eye, Laertes' son who makes his home in Ithaca." So what does that tell you about Odysseus? All his men are like, "Okay, let's get out of here. Cyclops can't hurt us if he doesn't know who we are." And Odysseus not only tells him, "Hey, I'm Odysseus," he tells him who his dad is. He says, "I'm the son of Laertes," which at the time tells him, the Cyclops, exactly his family lineage and where he lives. He says, I make my home in Ithaca." He says, "Cyclops, I want the glory for this. I am Odysseus. I gouged out your eye. This is my dad's name. This is where I live. Come at me." What does that tell you about Odysseus's character? And of course, here we would discuss and come to the understanding that Odysseus is very arrogant. He's very brave, but he's very arrogant. This is a good thing that he's brave, but maybe not such a good thing that he's so arrogant and going to bring, torment on himself because of his arrogance. Okay, so here's our last thing we're going to do today. We're going to have a formative assessment in breakout rooms. You're going to be sent to one of three breakout rooms, and in your room, there's going to be a character and some character traits, just some little random characters I made up. As a group, you're going to write some examples of direct and indirect characterization for your character. And then as a class, we're going to review what you've written and we're going to talk about it. So let me show you an example of what I want you to do. So here's an example of Sophie. Sophie is generous and humble. And your slide is going to have just this part right here, and then a spot for direct characterization and a spot for indirect characterization. Now, direct characterization, you just have to say it. Sophie is generous, Sophie is humble. You're just telling me what she's like. That's direct characterization. Indirect characterization, I want you to show me how she's generous and how she's humble. Give me some examples. So, for example, she could give a pencil to her friend who forgot to bring one. That shows that she's generous. We could show that she always has extra school supplies in order to be prepared and share and be generous, but she never lectures her friends on preparedness. She never says, "Well, I'm prepared and you're not." that shows that he's humble. Okay, so go to your breakout rooms and we will come back and discuss in just a minute.